Hey, we're here. Welcome, everybody, to My Hero Analysis Beyond, the AMHA rewatch. You now get a little peek behind the curtain. This is me and Steph are usually shooting the shit for a good, 20, 30 minutes before the show. And this is what it looks like. We keep it in this view. So now we just launched the show in this view. Every week it's something different. Hey, welcome, everybody. Welcome, Steph. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself, Tom?
I am okay. My brain's a little bit everywhere, but it is what it is. Let's get the other screens going. I'm actually really stoked to talk about this week's episodes because, as we talked about in length, this is my favorite stretch of episodes in My Hero. I mean, we've been on a roller coaster of great stuff up until this moment, and so it's just going to keep rolling through actually till the end of the season.
Yeah.
This set of three takes the cake. And I'm going to say hello to James in the chat, who is about 30 minutes early in the chat. I saw earlier while we were hanging out. Yep. But yeah.
No, I always thought this stretch of episodes was 7 long, and I think I mentioned this to you, and I remember being so intent, this is so great, and then when I realized it's only this 3 episodes, I'm like, wow, that's really cool that they could make that emotion last that long, and it's really not that long.
It's like you get an entire character arc for Tenya over the course of this, and it's crazy that they are able to do that at the same time we're getting new powers being explained, an emotional arc for Shoto also, because we get to learn a little bit more about why he chose going to his dad's place for internship. There's so much happening, and but nothing feels rushed, No. And it's they even say, I think at one point, and we'll get to this in the episode, where the whole battle with Stain took 10 minutes, which I'm going to call contention on that once we get to that point, and I'll tell you why when we get there. But it's funny that this 10-minute thing is what we're going to kind of delve into over the course of 2 of the 3 episodes. So it's kind of cool they stretch out these small moments and make them feel a lot bigger, because we're getting all the inside scoop into all the kids' minds and whatnot. But yeah, so without further ado, I say we just jump right into it.
Yeah. And this is when basically Gran Torino and Deku are in his kitchen, which I always find hilarious because he's got his little tiny apartment.
Yep.
And Deku's figured out that he can make his whole body and use One for All throughout instead of trying to pinpoint it. Because he was using it like All Might uses it, not like how Deku should use it. And they're getting ready to basically fight each other. And they're both super excited, which I found adorable. That one's excited just to see what he can do. Deku's excited to even try, and someone's willing to show him and teach him and try, which I find their relationship so relatable on that mentorship.
Yep.
The mentor of your mentor kind of thing. It's it's really cool to watch these two in this episode.
And I think last week we had talked about it a little bit, where it's Gran Torino is very much the Yoda to Deku, and it's great to see them play off of each other because they have that mentor-mentee relationship, but it's more of a playful way, where it's clearly it was a little bit different between Toshi and Gran Torino, because All Might is terrified of Gran Torino. I see that Christy and Dan joined, and Dan launched in with "We are here." Love it. And Christy says that these are some of her favorite episodes. Love Stain, even though he's a psycho. And I am right there with you, Christy. Stain is still to this day, I think. Yeah, I'd go ahead and say that. My favorite villain in this program.
That's such an old... Yeah, it gets hard later on because there's a lot of really good villains coming up.
There's a lot of great villains, and I think, once we start to explore those villains' backstories a little bit more, they become even more, really intriguing. But there's something about Stain. He stands for something different than I think a lot of the other villains stand for.
Yeah.
Even though, we'll talk about that another time, because we're going to go into the after effects of Stain next week. So, yeah.
I think these are just going through, and they did a lot of recaps on everybody's quirks, and I like how they try to keep you guys up to date on who's doing what and who's who, because their names get kind of convoluted after a while because they're so long sometimes. So
Yep.
I liked all the screen captures. But I was trying to catch Gran Torino moving around. You know how hard it is to get a still of this old man like jumping around like crazy?
He flies around the screen. Usually he's just a streak. This is a hilarious screenshot, though. It kind of looks like he's laying behind him.
He's just mocking him the entire time and just like batting him around. It is very Yoda-esque, though, just the laughing and like the fun of it. And Deku's like, his mind is just working, trying to get through everything. Like, this is really good, too. He's just trying to jump at him and use the new powers that he's discovered, which he has major hops now, so.
Yep, he does. And puts them to good use pretty much instantly. Deku definitely has that whole trial by fire mentality. It's just like, well, he was trying in the alleyway to jump off the walls, but never could quite get it. And then, by the time we get to this thing at the end of this episode, he's just bouncing all over the place without even thinking about it.
And I think that, like, even Gran Torino noticed it too. Like, his analysis is so well thought out and so above his own body. Like, he's so forward thinking that way. Is just getting his body to catch up. So I think he even mentions that. He's like, you're thinking all the time. You're doing all this great stuff. He's like, you just need to actually put it into practice and actually practice. But he got him too.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because Deku didn't even think he got him, but he totally did. And also, I love that Gran Torino, he had been retired for a long time, but he's just really excited that he gets to actually, like, fight again or, move and dodge, and, like, he actually has someone to challenge him.
I was wondering if he got his outfit tailored, because you know that he's, like, taller in some of the back images, and maybe he's like, I'm going to need this outfit shrunk.
Yeah. I wonder if he just wears it all the time. I don't think I've ever seen him in anything else.
You're right. I
Yeah.
didn't even think about it. If he sleeps in it. Oh.
Probably, yeah, because there's no scene where he like wakes up and he's not wearing that little outfit.
No, that's great.
Dan says that Torino reminds him of Mega Man, and it's totally those big gauntlets and big boots. Even like where the color breaks are exactly Mega Man's color breaks, but he has a cape.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. Midoriya and Shigaraki.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of back and forth between the two people and them merging on that one town and how they get there. And I didn't realize there was so much Shigaraki Tamura in this episode until I rewatched it and was like, wow, they actually went full depth into conversations between them.
James has said, what if his outfit is a part of his quirk?
And we kind of get like to see other people and how they're going about their internships. I kept a lot on this one because I love her doing the punching and like trying to be super tough when her teacher is super tough but trying to be super cute. So it was fun.
Also, like, one of the things I loved about this scene, and this scene kind of jumped out to me too, because how much she stands out, and not just because she's like a cute little girl, wearing this like hero outfit, but it's just like how plain everybody else looks in the background, and it's just like she really pops in this scene. Love it.
Just the face is amazing.
It's a great face.
Keep going. Oh. I like how these guys are super strong. They're going to learn about but he's teaching them manners, like how not to yell at the person talking to you with some tea. And then he goes on and he punches them, and then his hands are all sore because they're like either obviously harder.
But he's like, your quirks are so fun to punch, I think is what he said. Like he just loves it. Like that's totally why he brought them in for sure. Is like, I just want to punch like hard things that won't get hurt. Like that's it. I want to punch people. They're perfect for it.
And I like that their costumes are even similar too. Like
they are.
This one I just had to do because I hate his hair like this. It drives me bonkers. I was like, Genus, come on. I understand what you're trying to do. Trying to calm the crazy, but that's not going to work.
It's definitely not going to work because it pops right back up instantly.
I didn't catch that boom.
It makes a great noise too when it happens.
And then poor Momo still thinks she's going to learn something this whole time. And I think even Kendo's like, no, we're not. We're stuck here just following around being entourage.
But I love that Kendo's like, because Momo keeps talking about that, like, there's got to be something to like pull out of this experience that we can learn. And Kendo, in her own head, even says like, she's trying and trying all she can to justify this, but there's nothing to justify. It's exactly what it looks like.
And this conversation was really. It reminds me of when the principal came and brought him tea to make him slow down.
Yep.
It's almost the same kind of like level of calm, and like you're kind of getting a taste of what All Might went through, and kind of also his friendship with this police officer, because he even says, "I'm not supposed to tell you any of this information. It's basically you don't need to know any of this stuff, but I'm going to because I think you're going to find it valuable." So it's kind of the common link on why those names exist. And having the multiple quirks, I believe.
I love this guy's face too.
Yes.
The first Nomu, what he looked like before he got experimented on, like that giant wide mouth of his.
It reminds me of like those blank faces that the kids get to put like laminate, like the stickers that peel off, so you can just make whatever face you want. That's what it reminds me of.
Like he was just like a low-level thug.
Yeah.
Assault and extortion.
But they go through like how his body had to go through mutation to actually be able to hold all those quirks, and how he basically was just gone the entire time. As like awful. Yeah.
Eva, oh boy. Okay, I'm not gonna recount the chat anymore. I was going to, and then James started talking. So, yep. All right, moving on.
I think this is a continued conversation. I think there's one face, yes, for when he realizes who's the one person that could attempt to do something like this, which I don't think they go into too much detail on.
Not yet. It'll come up eventually, but that's just planting the seeds for the voice on the other side of the TV, pretty much, in these scenes.
In this part, when I first saw this, I thought they were already in the alley, and then I realized that he's got Tamura down with the knives. And I was like, oh, well, that's great. And then I don't remember what he started telling me he hates him and he's going to kill him. And that's when Tamura's like, he tries to cut Tamura's hand that's on his face.
Oh, yeah. And Tamura's like,
no. He's like, I'm playing with you enough. And then he just dissolves the blades. And I think Stain realizes then that this guy is more crazy than what he could ever have thought.
Yep. Yeah. And I like how opposite they are. They're both villains in their own way, but their entire manifesto of being a villain couldn't be more at odds with each other. Yeah. Stain is trying to build a better world actually through his villainy, while Tamura just wants to burn that world to the ground.
Yeah, because he doesn't see any good coming out of it at all, except for himself.
Yep.
What he wants. So. Oh, and then Tamura's like, I don't want him. Basically, get him the hell out of here. I don't want anything to do with him. And this poor Warp Gate guy is just like, no, I think he'll be a great asset to us. We need to listen to him and talk to him. And Stain's like, I don't want anything to do with you guys either.
Yep, I love it. The looks on his face. He's just such a cool looking character too. I love it. I don't even know what's happening in the chat right now.
Apparently, James thinks he's going to get banned for being unpleasant.
You can be as unpleasant as you want in the chat.
Exactly.
But now they're doing puns. So.
Oh, is that what's going on?
Yep.
I just see bananas happening.
Christian chimed in saying, "Love the Jack Daniels bottle behind them." Yeah, like something Dame, but it's totally Jack Daniels. And there's Jim Beam, and there's some others back there. It's funny that they're just kind of blurred out. Am I going the wrong direction? I am.
You're going the wrong way.
All right, here we go. Let's just keep moving on.
Yeah, I think this is just this whole episode was like a steady build up to the next one. It was kind of like where everybody's at right now and how they're going to get to the same spot. Because it was like a whole bunch of characters all at once that shouldn't have been meeting at this point in time, except for there was one common kind of goal there.
Yep. Hosu City kept coming up and coming up and coming up. This was such a good book.
Yeah, Ida this whole time like changed I forgot how cool he was in these series of episodes. I always loved him. I think he's hilarious, but like this is actually showing a side to him, how he can actually utilize his powers, how his teamwork kind of comes down that, and how he develops as a character.
And he has a really strong resolution. There's some moments where he gets stabbed quite a lot, but keeps going.
Yes.
I love the artistic representation of this scene that we're looking at, and how they could have, because we're looking at an animation cell, it could just be a flat color over his face of like a darker shade. But instead they decided to keep the hatching lines going down. And it really adds a little bit more of that grittiness, because it's the harsh brush strokes of like a Sumi ink brush going down his face. And it adds so much to it. And I feel like even during this scene, they're kind of moving a little bit. I might be wrong. But it just looks so cool. And like the only touch of warmth are the pupils of his eyes. And they just pop out. And it makes him look so sinister. And as I was telling you, when we first saw that scene where Deku says, like, I kind of regret that moment because it kind of changes everything kind of forward. When I saw this happen the first time, I was like, oh man, they really are setting up Ida to become a villain. And like, this is like the start of it, because like this looks like a villain scene.
That's what is unique about this series too. There's a lot of moments with a lot of characters where you think that they will just turn, and like it's really they innerly grow in a way that's unique to anime series, because they could easily just make them a villain for a whole arc and then they'll come back, or pull Vegeta where they're a villain and come back as a good guy and still kind of angsty. Where there's like this is actual like character development over 3 episodes that is insane. So.
Yep. No one basically chooses a side just to jump to jump back. It is like they're humans, right? Humanity, everybody that's a human being has like thoughts and emotions from all sides of every spectrum, and it's kind of how you balance those out in your head and what you do with it that kind of sets that tone. And that's what we're seeing here. Like we're seeing this vengeful nature build up in Tenya, and it's what ends up happening with it that defines him going forward.
Then you have Malkut again.
I laugh at his likes beef stew, because I'm like, how more basic can you be than just beef stew? Like growing up, that was what my grandmother always served us whenever I went over to her house. Like, I have some beef stew, and it was because it was my grandmother. Always very bland. This is my mom's mom. She was not a good cook. My dad's mom was. She was Italian. But anyway, my mom's mom, not so much. And she would always make the most bland beef stew. So when this popped up that he like loved beef stew, I instantly went to that beef stew, because like I love beef stew too. Like it's good, it's great. I can't go wrong with beef, potatoes, green beans, all that stuff. But it's just like, how more basic can you get? It's perfect for Tenya.
Yeah. And then this one is just like
all unknowns.
If you catch it the wrong time, the logo glows and it makes the whole screen pink. So at first I didn't understand what was going on, and then I was like, oh, I have to wait a couple of like half a second. I'm like, why is stain pink? I was like, what's going on?
He's loading in.
Yeah, but I love the screens in the middle now. It's something different.
Yeah. Oh, those my favorite ones are these, because they happen so like quickly that you really only get to like really digest maybe 2 of the character points. Yeah. So like I always go straight for the favorite foods, or like what I like, and then I'll work my way back to like birthday and stuff like that. But favorite foods are number 1.
And it's cool that they put that on there. It's awesome.
Yeah.
This part like made me laugh too, because he thought that he was going to tell Deku just to stop for the day. You're done. Like this going on. He's like, no, we're going to change it to your costume. We got to move on. And like the look on his face, he's upside down, bleeding. He's like, oh, there's more. Like, we get to go do something else fun. And so like Gran Torino's stoked. He's like, we're going to go beat up some bad guys. We're going to go have some fun on the town. And Midoriya's like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. He's just like, I just started doing this. So it's really funny, this whole interaction. They're going to take the train. Like, it's like a...
I love, too, he's worried, Deku's worried about showing off his new costume in the fashionable town that they're going off to.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're going to Shibuya. And he's like, this is such a fashionable town. I don't know. This is my first time wearing this thing. I don't know if it's ready for... the runway of the streets or whatever it is.
Yeah. And yeah, just like super, it's adorable. And the guy's just telling me, no, it'll be okay. It'll be perfect.
Yeah, it's like be happy to display it on such a wonderful stage. I loved that interaction about his costume too, because when we got to this point, the first time like seeing the new costume, I'm like, this costume is so much cooler than the last one. It's like, yes, I'm all about it, and he's so self-conscious of it. I'm like, don't be self-conscious. It's great. Should have been more self-conscious about wearing your mom's sewn together suit.
And this interaction was very telling too. The fact that this guy is owning a normal hero agency, which I still don't understand.
He's the normal hero.
He's the normal hero. And so going on, but he could still tell you're only here because you have some other like ulterior motive. I mean, it might be good in your brain, but you're doing things that is not hero oriented. And he explains it in a very, very clear way that there's laws in place. They state that you have to do this, and to be a hero, we have to follow these. And so don't do anything stupid.
It's one of those things where Manuel kind of explains exactly what Ida needs to hear, but Ida at this point isn't where he's listening.
No.
If he had taken every word that Manuel says to heart, he would have learned what he's about to learn over the course of the next 2 episodes after this, through trial by fire again. And I think that has a lot to do with kids in general. You have kids, maybe way better than I do. But I feel like kids, you could tell them all day, you can't do that, you can't do that. But they'll still try to do it until they do it. And then they realize, wow, I should not have done that. I can get hurt or this or that could be bad. And then they won't do it again. Sometimes they just have to learn by doing. And these kids, they're going up against villains. It's life or death, but they still feel the need to learn by doing.
I almost like when he runs in, when we get to that part, I don't know what Ida's intention is, thinking that my brother couldn't beat this guy, so I can go in there and yell at him, and then he'll drop everything and say, I'm so sorry, please take me to the police. Like, I was trying to figure out his whole, like, plan during this.
Maybe try to direct him down the runway. No, you should be going this way, to the jail, this way.
So I think that you're right. It's like a childhood thing where he's like, in his mind, he has this purpose, but he really doesn't have a plan of attack or that.
It's funny, too, because, like, everybody, every time they see Tenya, they react like, oh, he's just a kid wearing a suit or whatever it is. But when Tenya takes off his mask, he looks like the same age as the detective. Like, he does not look like a kid to us, the viewer, because he's drawn almost the same way. He's drawn with more adult-looking eyes for this anime. Versus, a lot of the younger kids have the bigger anime eyes that are like more round. So when they say like, oh yeah, he's just a kid wearing a suit, and I'm like, does he really look like a kid though? I don't know. It kind of looks like he's like 25. I mean, granted, I think that that's a kid, but it's because I'm damn near 40. But anyway. Stop running, you're going to bust your face. Ignores you 10 minutes later. He has a bloody face, too. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
But he's still conflicted because he doesn't know what to do with himself. He's upset, and he needs to figure out a way. And the only way he can think about doing it is charging face first into the wall.
This line sums up everything in life ever. What am I supposed to do about these feelings? That's childhood, growing up, right there.
He has like the greatest monologues of this series, almost. Like, I could listen to Stain talk. It's really gross sounding, but it's really cool, like, words coming out of his mouth. He's very cool all around. There's no other
words. And clearly many, many others, as we'll come to learn. Yep. Yeah, I love Stain. I just want more Stain paraphernalia. And then you have I'm going to go ahead and say the worst monologuer in My Hero has to be Tamura.
Oh, he's so awkward, but it's perfect for him.
Yep. Oh, no, it's great for him, but Jesus, it's always something terrible. It's like, so the hero killer is also the hero breeder. Like, what is that supposed to be like? I don't know. Sinister? Is it supposed to be impactful? Like, what? Am I not supposed to laugh at that?
Yeah, well, it's because I think the warp guy's trying to tell him that crime goes down. The heroes like actually try to like do things again when Stain comes through town because it ignites that fire that there's
Yeah.
criminals or and it makes the world a better place. And so this is Tamura's, I don't know, a synopsis of that thought. So
Well, yeah, he's seeing it as it's funny that he says hero breeder because you think that that means more heroes, but whereas Stain is not for more heroes, Stain is for more quality of hero.
yeah,
So you could probably have half the number of heroes doing the right hero duty, saving the right number of people, that kind of thing, and they'll be doing better. So it's like it's not even an accurate, like I don't know, interpretation of what's happening.
but again, he's a man child, so this is another tantrum.
Very much a man child. And James says Shigaraki's English voice is so terrible too. I'm going to go ahead and say they all are in the English dub. Don't watch the English dub. No, just watch whatever you want to watch. But still, I can't. I love how much enjoyment Gran Torino gets out of riding the train.
Yeah. I mean, he never gets out of the house. The man's been eating his little fish things in the microwave for God knows how long, and then
Yep.
he gets to have like an intern. He gets to fight. He broke his microwave. He's having a blast.
He could have done this. He didn't have to retire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's all excited.
Yep.
Oh,
I love that. You go ahead because clearly I think
I love that their little like youth like phone chats that are going on. Their little like everything going on. It's so adorable. He's like, Ida usually responds really quickly, and I was laughing that he timed it because Midoriya would. It's probably written somewhere that Ida texts back within this time
Yep.
frame. Like this must be due to some kind of finger motion or whatever. It's like goes off.
he's
So,
analyzing it down to the exact second. Like, oh, Ida always is like within 3 minutes without fail. Like 3 minutes is his current max time.
yeah.
We get a little flashback to the scene where, he still has regret for this. But I don't know what else he would have said in this scene.
I think this is just. I think Ida. No, this is Midoriya thinking back on himself, like trying to figure out what was going on, and like he thought he did his best, and he's hoping Ida's okay. And then the train gets attacked.
But it's so cool. I love the slow reveal too, because it just starts with the hand, and Deku is scared. He's like, "Is it a villain? What is it?" And then the head, the brain, instantly gets to be shown. The eyes are going every which way, and he's like, "Nobu."
Yeah.
In a really great way.
And then it's like there's a hero in the hand that came through the train, so that's
Yep.
who's on the ground. And then Gran Torino is just on it, like doesn't take him a few seconds to get him off the train, but he tells Deku to stay put, go to the station and do your thing, which we all know he's not going to do.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing about Deku, though. You kind of would imagine he would, because he wants to do right by the mentor, by the heroes. But he's also someone who can't stand by when there's explosions popping off everywhere, because if there was a chance he could have saved somebody who didn't get saved,
Yeah.
he would have taken that so personally. And it was a good thing he didn't stay on the train.
And he goes on to this because they know Stain's there, and he's mad because Stain's there. So he's like, I'm just going to release Nobu's then, and we're going to have some fun because this will be crazy. And
He wants to overshadow Stain's presence, pretty much.
And just cause some chaos. Let's make this flashy.
Yep.
We never even really learn much about Native, do we? I don't remember at this point. We just see that this poor guy is obviously done for. And I'm wondering, too, if Stain just happens upon them on the street and just drags them in the alley. They never explain really how he attacks the heroes that he
Yeah. Well, we do know that Ingenium, Tenya's brother, did actually find him, and he went to him. So it could have been one of those things because, Stain has a very distinguishing look. So if you're walking by the alleyway and you see, they even mentioned the crimson red blood-soaked bands, the blades all over the body. Like if they're walking by and see that, they know it's a hero killer. They're going to try to take him down, because I can only imagine that he singled out Native because Native went after him for the bounty on his head or something, because he knows it's going to be a good payday or something like that.
Yeah.
We never learn it. We don't know why Native was singled out or anything like that, or how he found them. But you have to imagine it's something. But I feel it could be possible that he picks them off the street. But Stain never just picks somebody without hearing them talk first. Like, he has to know what they're about before he says, "You're gonna, be on the other end of my knives because of your answer to this question," kind of thing. So, yeah.
James made the greatest comment ever.
I wonder if Native is part of the hero team that also has a policeman, a construction worker, and a cowboy. Yeah, I hear that they have a hero agency down at the YMCA.
Okay.
Yep. And he also said that he wants toys of the Nomus, and I too also want toys of the Nomus.
Stain first.
Creation Odyssey says that flat out shocked me when Gran Torino jumped into action. Was not expecting that. I thought Deku was going to move first. Yeah, we didn't know enough about Gran Torino the first time we see him on this, and now he's just like, we know him as someone who just dashes all over the place and like we'll be there first.
Yeah, which is nice. There's a good that their heroes are there, and I think this next few episodes too, my idea of how Endeavor is out on like in the public changed, because I literally wrote down like 4 or 5 times that he is just so cool throughout a lot of these parts. I'm like, why is he so awesome? I don't know.
He calls even before he can see what Gran Torino can do, he calls him a distinguished elder or honored elder. He always uses these honorifics, because he's very respectful of, an older generation. He has a lot of other issues that he has to work through, but good Lord, I mean, knowing the progression that he goes on through the course of this series, this episode block with him, he is really cool.
Yeah.
This stuff, really cool.
Like this way, like thanks, we're gonna go through it in a little bit, but it's just like, wow, like I don't like you, but you're really cool. So.
And I love, he does like the prominence burn and stuff too.
This is how you meet him too, just scared out of his mind. I'm like, great, that's a great little. There you go.
Yep, pro hero, Native. That's all we get from him. That's it.
And then we I think Ida runs in to save him because he notices him while he's walking down the street with Manuel, because they're trying to come check out the Nomu destruction, I believe, is what's going on at this point. And he just gets like clocked, basically, I think, by Stain when he runs up.
Well, Manuel asks him to follow him because they hear an explosion. They're going to go save the day. But as they're running, Ida looks into an alleyway and his eyes just like get huge. So he must see this confrontation happening. So that's, he dashes in, and I believe Stain hits him with the backside of his sword to kind of like keep away kind of thing. And that knocks his helmet off. And that's how Stain sees Ida, who looks awesome without his glasses, by the way.
I love his glasses.
Yeah, they're great, but you should get contacts.
I think this is when he also talks to him. He says, "Oh, it's a child in a suit," and he kind of like ignores him and goes back to Yep. Yeah, he's like, "What? Why are you here? Like, what are you doing?" Which shows that he is acknowledging that he's not in his lane of like death and like prowess.
Though he does say, "Be careful what you say, because I don't care your age. That can change real quick." Because like at first he's like, "You're not going to get my ire because you're just a child wearing a suit." But if you continue basically to talk and show that you are a hero in training that goes against my ideals for what heroes should be, you'll get the blade just as quickly. I might as well cut you off early.
Oh, this is the part too. Because he's just like, he realizes that Ida's there for the wrong reason. He's not there to punish Stain for being the hero killer or hurting people. He's there because he hurt his brother. And that was like the only reason. Yeah,
because he kept saying he never said, he didn't like acknowledge the fact that Native was there even at all. Nor was he trying to bring in Stain for justice, anything like that. He keeps talking about how, he hurt his brother. He's not going to be able to work now. And so it's completely, purely vengeance.
And this is like, it's oddly satisfying because he wouldn't even write Ingenium on the card in school to say that that's my name, but he's going to say it now with completely the wrong feelings behind it.
Yep.
And I think that also in the next episode, he kind of realizes that real quick. He's like, why am I taking my brother's name when I don't even really fulfill that yet?
In my mind, when they had the class, he was going to write it because I feel like at that point he knew he was going to take that name on.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't ready to reveal to the class that that's the case because Stain is still out there. He feels the need to take him on to kind of earn it. But I feel like in his mind he was already Ingenium, or going to definitely take the name. But he used Tenya just because he didn't want the other kids to know his goals or plans. Creation Odyssey says, does he wear his glasses under his helmet? I can't remember. Yeah, anytime he takes off his helmet, usually he has his glasses on.
Mm-hmm. Would you think he would get contacts? Because that's got to be crazy with the metal.
It could also, they have these things built specifically to their specs. It'd be like, please make space for my glasses because I need them to be comfortable. But yeah, Dan says, I wonder if they did the no glasses for Ida because on purpose to show his intensity better. I mean, they knock off the glasses, but that could totally be it. He looks here more intense, more determined because he doesn't have the glasses blocking the drawings of those eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we're back to the train.
Yeah, and then everybody's clearing everything, and then Heiko Deku's like, I'm getting off here, like tells the conductor he's like just gonna take off running. And he pulls like a Shoto is what I call it. He's like, I wonder if they're all related. There must be a bunch of brothers of Nomu because they all have brains hanging out of their heads.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's honestly because at this point I don't think Deku knows that they all have multiple quirks. The one did, but that could be the quirk is to have multiple quirks. He did not know that they're genetically engineered. He knows. We, as the audience, know way more about the Nomus at this point than Deku knows. Mm-hmm. So he's running in, and I think it's a fine enough assumption that they could be brothers or something.
Some kind of family thing. Yeah.
I mean, we see the two ninja heroes in this arc where they're like throwing ninja stars, and they both look exactly the same. They're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So family members and Ingenium, they look the same too. Their suits and everything. So
yeah. But he's basing it on their brains hanging out.
Hey, same look. It's a familial trait. Brains hanging out.
And I think at this point he's just thinking about everything going through. He's running by, and then he gets to. I can't remember who he runs into first before he gets to the alleyways.
Who? Oh, Deku.
Mm-hmm.
He runs into the manual fighting everything because that's how he learns that Ida's
missing.
Yeah, because Manuel is actually yelling for. That's how he goes that direction. He sees fire, but he hears someone yelling for Tenya. Mm-hmm. They're like Tenya, and then he runs over there and finds out that it's Normal Hero. I think he even goes Normal Hero.
Yeah,
and that's how he knows that. Oh God, wait. Tenya's not here? That's not right. That's not like Tenya at all. Like, what could possibly be happening?
And then he's worried about, because he's chasing after Gran Torino's trajectory. I think that was the whole point, was what's going on that way. I liked the screen because it captures him, like, with all the sparks and everything pretty nicely. So.
Yep. Oh. Don't we, doesn't he rush in at the end of this episode? Or no, it happens in the beginning of the next episode. That's right. Mm-hmm. So that's it for episode 28. Favorite moment of episode 28?
I really liked Gran Torino and him fighting in the beginning. I just
Me too.
Love the way that they interact. It's cute, and I forgot how much I liked Gran Torino until we actually get to see him.
That's definitely my favorite moment as well. It's the first time we get to see full cowling in use. Mm-hmm. And Gran Torino reacting to it, where he's saying something other out loud than what he's actually internalizing, where he's like, you're never going to be able to fight villains with this reaction time, yada, yada, yada. But while inside, he's like, this kid's catching on fast kind of deal, which is really cool. I love when people do that kind of thing. And it's really cool. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. If Stain was in The Boys, he would be the greatest hero there. Wonder if he could be seen as Magneto for the. Wait, hang on. Let's go back a little bit here. Stane's whole doctrine is interesting. I would ask my helmet with the windows for eyes with.
They went to a big conversation about glasses with the helmet.
My only problem with if you build the actual glasses into like the lenses of the helmet, and your helmet is that easily knocked off, you're going to be blind pretty much instantly. So that's why I'm like contacts, because if your helmet gets knocked off and your glass, as we saw, his glasses and his helmet got knocked off together. I don't know what Ida's sight is, but he should be virtually, not be able to see. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think building them into the visor is the best thing. It would be great if that visor, or if the visor had the glasses built in and the helmet was super secure. But that in and of itself is another liability, because if someone were to knock off that helmet and it has no give, that could just snap your neck. There's a lot of problems. Then they talk about Stane's philosophy, being super deep, makes you take a second look at the idea of the hero society for sure. Definitely, I agree. It's one of the reasons why I love Stane. And then that's where Dan makes the comparison to Magneto. That makes sense.
Yes.
A lot of X-Men parallels with MHA, that's for sure. There's a real world parallel going on right now with a group of people who used to be seen as heroes. Yeah. That's a good comparison because Magneto has good intentions, just very misplaced. Yep, exactly. And the idea of a helmet is to be difficult to take off when it is properly used. Correct. But also, again, that also poses a problem when your helmet and you're getting punched in the head. Like helmets when you're riding a motorcycle is one thing. Helmets when you could be uppercutted by someone with super strength and there's like a strap underneath that, instead of it just giving like a crumpled door in a car would give, there's pluses and minuses to both of those things. It's hard to choose which side you want to side with. My microphone just keeps going. I don't know what's going on. This is the second time today. That actually knocked over my monitor a little bit too. All right. Anyway, let's roll on to episode 29. Guys, in the comments, let us know what your favorite moments were of episode 28. But we're going to roll right through.
This title made me laugh because I was like, it's only 3 of them versus UA students. So, okay.
It's 3, but, it's 3 strong students. I don't know.
It works. This is like the fight between Nomo and Gran Torino once they land, and he's kind of like doing his thing. And this I found really fun too, because he's like, I've never been able to fight like this before. I can actually use my full power. I can move around. I can do my thing. He says, I fought in earnest. I love Gran Torino altogether in all 3 of these episodes, but it's really fun to watch him in action.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. And then he's like getting ready to like fight him again, and then he just gets incinerated.
Which, thank God, Gran Torino can just change direction midair.
Yeah.
Because he was going in for it, and then all of a sudden flames just start kicking up. He's like, oh, did a little backflip.
And it's like, I realized that Endeavor didn't know that he was going to stop, so I don't know what he would have done in that moment, but
Endeavor's kind of Endeavor, He just kind of goes for it.
And he calls him Honored Elder. And he's like, why are you here? And he's like, because I'm a hero.
I don't think it's Gran Torino. Is it Gran Torino that asked, why are you here? Or is it the onlookers?
It's the onlookers, yeah. It's the couple that were there.
They're like almost horrified that Endeavor is there, because people do not like Endeavor in this world.
Which is funny, because he saves a lot of people. So it's he's just not as charismatic.
Yep. Creation Odyssey says what we were talking about earlier. It's like as much as people give Endeavor crap, I was extremely shocked how respectful he was to Gran Torino. So it's one of my favorite parts of this episode is Endeavor's, actually not just his respect towards Gran Torino, but how much he respects Shoto's decision when Shoto makes his decision to leave, and then kind of follows through with that too.
I think this is when he runs in and then he sees everything kind of blowing up because the Nomu's there and like he sees all the other heroes.
This is where
fills.
This is a normal agency against the bigger Nomu.
Yeah.
And this is where like those guys with the ninja stars are throwing them at a Nomu and they're just bouncing off. They're like, we can't do anything against this thing. I don't know what we're here for.
Yeah, and there's like, what is this thing? And they have like the centaur guy like running in. He's supposed to be the muscle, and I don't know what the girl did, but
I don't know what the girl did either. But she's the one who basically tells Deku that he's in the way.
Yeah. Just this crazy chaos of everything going around.
I do like the look of the little ninja guys.
Mm-hmm. And the guy that I swear this one guy was just flying around with the bird one for like ever. Like he must have been the entire episode almost until the end. He was just up there being carried around in a circle. And then the manual acknowledging that they don't know where Tenya is. They could have used him right at this point.
Oh yeah, for sure. Can you imagine having a good speed distraction like that, and also getting people out of the way?
Yeah. And then I like how it washes over him, like in this huge, like, oh, I'm a moron. Like everything's happening all at once. Where is Ida?
Yeah, but he places it together. He's like, Hosu City. That's where the hero killer is seen. The hero killer took out Tenya's brother. Tenya took on the internship here. He's putting all the puzzle pieces together, even though he kind of had an idea from the beginning, but it's like now playing out directly in front of his face.
And this is kind of a flashback of Tamura and how the Nomus came about, because he was very upset when Stain left because I don't know, he's having a tantrum. It's Tamura. And so he asked him how many Nomus were up and running. And I think the guy says 6. And he's like, well, I want them all. I need them all. And he's like, I'll give you 3 because you need to learn your lesson and it might be a good experience for you.
Yep. Yeah. I love that. He's like, yeah, no, you need to, you'll learn a thing or two about only getting half of them.
Yeah. It's just all intense. And I think this is when Ida's giving him a speech about who he is and where he's at and everything like that. And then Stain all of a sudden is like, okay, I see, and now it's time to die.
Yeah. This is basically Stain's reaction to the, oh, okay, you're one of the ones that needs to be cold. I get it.
Yeah. Trying to catch these was like ridiculous too. And so like Ida moving one way and then you have Stain moving the other. I was like, both of them were awesome. I figure out if we can have clips again, it would be perfect.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. But this had to hurt too. I was like, Ida.
Right through the shoulder. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Oh.
That's gonna take way more than just a couple of smooches.
That was like, and it's like right in like the part where it's all your joint and everything. I was like, oh.
Yep, not good.
No, and I don't. My mom stuff in this whole episode. I'm like, does he wash those? He's like got people's stuff on it. He's licking it all the time. It's gross.
Yep. I think at this point, Stain is the type that's definitely not going to wash his blades between fighting, but also care. And he doesn't wash his boots, and he stabs people with those spikes on his boots too. Oh. Yeah. I mean, he's trying to kill them, so he doesn't care if they get like tetanus or other worse things.
I think it's in the next episode where Ida like pulls the blade out with his teeth, and I was like cringing. I'm like, Ida, don't don't touch that. Oh, and then I love the little flashbacks between him and his brother talking and like kind of going on, and his admiration for how his father's talking to him and his answers to things. And Ida's cute as a little kid too. They're all cute, but it works.
Ida is totally the type of little kid though that I'd be so annoyed with.
I think his brother gets annoyed with him later too.
He does too. He's like, why do you talk like that? Why are you doing that? What are you doing? Why are you a robot? What's going on?
It makes me laugh. This was cute too.
Yeah.
Because it's like goes through the whole thing. It's like All Might saying that it's your hero, like you be yourself, but they're all acknowledging that someone is their hero. So very had to get the whole blood thing going there.
It's the very first time we see his quirk in actual use.
Mm-hmm.
We were just an offering to a more just world.
Yeah.
Love that shot of Stain. And he's horrifying.
This part was like my favorite moment too.
This is, yeah, totally. 100%.
Yeah, because you're like, oh my gosh, he's gonna stab him because it's like maybe he won't die, and then all of a sudden Deku just comes out of nowhere.
There's just, but I love it that it's just like it's a close up of Stain's face, and then it's just a fist comes in from out of the scene, and just like it hits him, and it like grinds in there for a second, and
Yeah.
it just like slowly pushes his entire face.
I do like it. The Deku's like, I'm just gonna hit him in the face. Like, what else am I gonna do with the
Yep.
going on?
Get him out of there.
And then Ida's like, Midoriya, what are you doing?
The last person he expected to see, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this is the next one where the phone again comes in handy, where he sends off. Oh, we get this too.
Yeah, that's we will get how Deku gets there before, because we get the whole like scene of him punching him, winding up in front of Tenya, where before that we didn't really have like point A to point B. He just kind of shows up.
Yeah.
But my favorite part, though, that we kind of don't get to see in these screenshots is Stain is about to, or he's about to like really deliver the killing blow to Tenya, but something catches his eye, and he looks down the alleyway, and you get from Stain's perspective of like this blurred out, like he's trying to kind of focus in on something that's like green and dashing from wall to wall to wall as it gets closer, until all of a sudden we get that shot of where it's a close up of Stain's face, and then it's just coming in. But it's that like kind of half blurry dash bouncing off the walls thing. That's like one of my favorite shots in this anime. So I love it.
His favorite food is like the best thing that ever existed.
Soba?
Yeah,
Because
I think that's not hot.
But also, he has Tybo blood as well. I don't think I realized that.
I don't think it gets utilized in this at all.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, that's great. And this is Midoriya basically acknowledging that my hunch was correct.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we rewind and we kind of figure out how he got there.
Yeah, I think this is another speech again between Stain and Ida. They're still talking about what's going on, and Ida's not understanding what Stain is saying. He's just so mad at this point in time. And then I think that's the thing we send the location. But I think, did I skip the whole part of him getting over there?
It's fine.
Meh.
We described it enough.
There we go. I thought this was so clever on Deku's part.
Yep. Very.
It was kind of rough where he decides who you're going to send it to.
I think he has a class list because I think when we get back to school in a couple episodes, I think they say, yeah, we got that weird text that you sent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think but it goes straight to him. So it's like, did he pick him? Like
no, it's a group text. It's a group.
He does it to everybody.
Yeah, he said. Yeah, I think he has like a UA class list, and he's just like, boop, no, and it's off. Whoever catches it that's nearby, hopefully, because like he doesn't know that Shoto's in town.
See, I thought he did. I thought that's super super smart.
Yep.
Poor Ida.
Yeah,
now he's worried because he's like, oh, Midoriya is going to get hurt now. And this is supposed to be just my thing.
I don't think he's even at the you're going to get hurt on my behalf part yet. I think at this point he's still this is my blood feud against this guy because he hurt my brother. I think he's still in vengeance mode. I think you guys are getting hurt on my behalf is after he starts seeing the battling that's happening and that they're getting hurt.
I love the inner monologues with Stain, like trying to analyze him and realize that he's really good at fighting too, because you wouldn't think Midoriya has a lot of fighting expertise.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, but he analyzed him perfectly. Mm-hmm. Knows getting close, so close that distance real quick.
And then he like flips up behind him before he goes out of his field of vision. So you almost think that Stain can't really move his eyes too fast or something to that regard. Do you think that he would be more quick on his
he thinks Stain, I think, even describes it. He's like, you completely disappeared from my field of vision because he thought Deku dashes behind him. So as he and Deku's moving faster than a normal human because he's using 5% of One for All. So he dashes behind him. So he turns to like catch him behind him, but when he turns, Deku's already gone from that spot. So in that motion of turning, Deku knew enough to jump the opposite direction of the way he would be turning, so he completely stays directly behind his head the whole time. And that's what, Stain, I think he praises him for it.
Yeah. And then Tenya realizes, this is my favorite thing, that he's starting to move like Bakugo, which is very precise and quick, which is good for Midoriya.
Yep.
At 5%, he can move at that intensity.
Just imagine what he could do at like 30 to 50. So here we see the sun. Yep. Let's see a little bit of the power that Stain has affects Deku.
I couldn't get a lot of the flashes because it's real quick when his little power or quirk activates. Yeah. But now they can't move. I do like that Stain like talks to him and compliments him, because I think Midoriya, before they even start this sequence, says that meddling is the essence of a hero. He gives them that line that All Might said that, and Stain like acknowledges that as a good reason or good heroic quote.
He acknowledges it, but he also even says, I think in his head, he's like, but that could be all talk. Like you could just be spouting the right words. But then the fact that he kind of shows that he has like skill behind those words, he's just like, okay, you're someone worth like
letting let live.
Yeah, culturing to become a hero. Like you're one of the ones. Because I think he even says like, you left my field of vision, and had you been stronger, had you used something a little bit more than 5%, like you would have gotten me there. But because your punch, though strong, wasn't strong enough, you didn't get it.
And then we get the coolest moment ever with the fire coming out of nowhere.
Yep.
I just liked it too because he enters with the fire, not the ice this time. It's like a completely different Shoto coming to the rescue.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, and using both powers together through this entire battle, it's fantastic.
He tells Midoriya, because he didn't text him more than just his location, he's like, you made me late, like coming over here, because I was like, what the hell are you doing?
I love that. Honestly, it's not even if there's nothing like really behind it, it's just such a cool thing to say too. Like, I wouldn't have been late if you gave me a little bit more info. That's just him being cool.
Yeah.
Because man, Shoto is real cool during this.
He's cool all the time. Oh, and then he's like, don't worry, the pros will get here in a few minutes. And I remember watching this the first time, like, why would you think that? You came by yourself.
Well, I mean, clearly things happen before he just shows up. I mean,
but I was just like, when I first watched this, I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? They're like, thinking in a random alley. Oh, and then he gets cut, and he's like going. But I don't think he gets cut, but he doesn't show up on the blade, right? For this part,
he threw the blade at him.
Yeah.
So that blade, if he gets the chance to go get it, which I think he tries, and then Shoto either fires fire or ice at him. I can't remember what to keep him back. He can't get to the blade, but he's bleeding, and the Stain does try to lick his face.
Yeah.
Tenya's pissed.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't understand why people are helping with his blood feud, is a good way to put it. And then I think Stain says this too. It's like, didn't have that look on his face, like, you're not the Ingenium that I went and fought and let live, basically.
I can't remember if that's Stain or Shoto.
It might be either one.
Yeah. I thought it was Shoto basically being like, Tenya, you're not the Tenya I know, kind of deal. Acknowledges Shoto's skills.
Yeah. I do like that this random villain is like, oh man, this is like way too much work, but he's probably having a lot of fun with this too.
Yep. He likes it. He's enjoying it. And this is after Deku wakes back up.
Oh,
that's right. Like, this is Native saying no, because he thought that. So they're trying to figure out his quirk, basically. And they thought that maybe it was a time limit thing, but Native was the first one to get it, and Native still can't move, so it's definitely not that. That's why he's like, no, that kid should have been the last one he got. But Deku did get up. He was able to keep Stain from licking Shoto's face, I believe, is what happened.
Yeah, like he knocks him out of the way.
Yeah.
And he kind of like goes into analysis mode. It's like it has to be like a few variables. It has to be either a time frame, the type of blood it is, or I can't remember what the other one was.
Amount of blood.
Amounts, yes, like how much you ingest.
Because he only got like a tiny droplet of Midoriya's, which all three of those made such a good like assumption kind of deal. Like wow, that's good analysis because those are the only three options that you can get from that.
Yeah.
And then they start talking about like they break it down and they learn that it can't be this one or that one, so it must be the blood type thing.
Yeah.
So they all start finding out their blood types.
And I like that Stain acknowledges it. Yep, it's the blood type part. That's correct. And I was like, okay, dude.
I love that too. It's just like, that's correct. And then you get President Mike being like, Stain! Quirk, blood curdle.
And blood curdle is such a weird term for it too.
Yep.
Kind of like hell flame. It's like, it's not just going to be fire.
I feel like you can kind of write your own. Like he has like this hemophilia something quirk. It's like blood curdle sounds cool, so he wrote it on a piece of paper. So that's what it gets classified as. Keep going back. There we go.
And I like this. We never saw this before, and it's Shoto's recollection of that whole scene with Ida going off to his internship, and him acknowledging that he was worried about it too.
Yep.
Because he's obviously changing for the better, and was like worried that Ida was going to be struggling with it because he struggled with all that vengeance and hate in his own life. So it was a good comparison.
It really was. I wonder where Sue and Pinky are off to in the background there. I guess they're internships.
Mm-hmm. Do we even see Mina's? I don't even think we do.
No, they don't show Mina's.
I did like that they go back through that his mother apologized and that they're willing to move on with it, and she needs him to grow himself, and then she'll be fine with that. That'll be the best thing that he can do is be himself.
Yeah, it was very sweet seeing this.
Let me get back into the fight.
Yep.
And so their strategy is, because they can't haul both of them out and fight Stain because he's too experienced, so they just have to keep him at bay until the pros show up. And so since Todoroki's not really up close and personal kind of fighter, Deku's going to take care of that part, and then Shoto's going to do the backup.
He has a good range ability. What we're seeing here, though, as the caption, is actually a great follow-up to, I think, that whole growth of Shoto. Is one of my favorite moments of his growth, is the fact that he chooses to internship with his father, not because he admires the man or likes the man, but he has to respect the fact that he is the number 2 hero, and that he can learn from the number 2 and understand why his dad is number 2. And his dad knows a thing or two about firepower, and he hasn't used his firepower in the past. So like this is the first time that if he's going to start using this power as his own, there's reasons to train under him. But it's all only because of what Midoriya did for him making amends with his mother, that he was able to come to that realization, like, okay, no, this power is mine. I should continue to make it mine. And by continuing to make it mine, yes, I do need to train under the man who wants to claim it to be his, but I should pull what I want to pull from that, not what he is forcing me to get out of it. Kind of deal.
I like that he's acknowledging, too, that everything was so simple. The answers were right there, but he just couldn't see them.
Yep.
And I think there's the Deku screaming face from the tournament coming up, too, yeah.
Yep, I love it. Stain Is it up?
Yeah, this threw me off too because I'm like, okay, so not only is Stain like probably was dumbing it down earlier, thinking he didn't have to do too much. Now he's just like, oh, I'm just like full bore, gonna go at these kids now and kill them. It's just it's so unique the way that he just elevates the villain game.
Yep. Yeah, because that before this, he was like, "All right, I understand that you, the green-haired kid, you're a hero to let live and be cultured because you're the kind of hero that I want to exemplify in this life. I still want to kill that kid in the helmet, though.
Yeah,
That kid, he's terrible. The native guy too. Don't know why, but I want to kill that guy too. This other kid, he seems like he has the right head on his shoulders too. We'll let you two live, but they're actually ended up being like a little more work for him. So he's like, okay, I guess I just got to go for it and see what happens. This is a villain versus hero battle.
that's crazy. And then Ida's going through this like turmoil this entire time as Shoto and Deku are just like trying to survive this like craziness. And I love just him and his emotions going from super pissed to like do this, and then now he's like reflecting on everything that's going on. It's almost
I think
despair.
this is that moment where he changes from it being a vengeance thing to the oh my god, my friends are getting hurt on my behalf. Look at what my decisions have brought upon this situation.
Oh, then yeah, he's like, you guys need to stop. You need to stop. And Todoroki's like, if you want us to stop, then flip and stand up, dude. We gotta get going.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
possible.
If you want to be the one to stop him, then you've got to be the one to stop him. But we have to be the one to stop him right now because you're on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh God, yep. And this is how we end the episode where it looks like something terrible, real terrible, is about to happen.
Yeah, this is the next part for the next one coming up.
Yeah, so we'll leave that right there. All right, favorite moment.
This one's a hard one because there's a lot of action sequences and stuff like that. But I really do like Deku fighting with Stain because you get to see everything. Like him fighting Gran Torino was super cutesy and they're like little mentor bonding. But this was actually like first in action sequence. So I think in the tournament, Deku kind of got the bad end of the stick because he was helping Shoto realize what's going on.
Yeah,
and he was destroying himself instead of fighting.
Yeah, so, he didn't have a power that he could use yet.
No. So it's kind of nice to see him actually be able to do things and surprise people. So
it's one of my favorite things when he first. I want to say he says it either when he first jumps out of the train and he's jumping from rooftop to rooftop, or it's the first time he hits Stain, where he's like, "I can fight." He actually. Oh, I think it's when he's fighting Stain because he's dashing all over the place and he hits Stain and we think that he gets away with it. And he's like, that's it. I can do it. I can fight with this new ability. Like, I can actually do something and not damage my arm or blow my leg off or, like, all these different things. It's like, this is the first time I'm actually effectively using my ability. And it's such a great thing to see. It's so I'm torn between two moments. And it's either the second he shows up, Deku, where he's dashing on the walls and punches Stain away, or it's that moment when he realizes he can fight. I want to say I think it's that moment when he realizes that he can fight. It's like that self-internalization. He's like, okay, this new ability puts me on a playing field where, yeah, I'm not even using like more than 5% of my power yet. Maybe I don't have the strength to really take down a villain, but like my arm's not going to come off. That's great. So
that's great. It's the small things.
Yeah. Dan says his favorite moment is Deku's sucker punch. It's a great one, for sure.
Running punches, yeah. I do like this for both boys because when you first watch it, you're like, "Oh yes, finally!" Because you're like super worried how this is gonna end.
Yep. Yeah. These three guys, such a good set. So he's got a lot of heart and passion. He just wants to do a good job, and that's talking about Tenya. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I think I got a whole bunch of the chat catching up all at once for me.
Dan mentions that it puts Ida closer to the top of his favorites. It did me today too. Like I was like watching it and I'm like, literally he might have been like up there against where Bakugo holds that spot. Like it was like I remember watching this arc, but now that I'm rewatching it and really learning about it, Ida's
Yep.
so cool.
See, I really enjoy Tenya, and I really like him as someone on the class. And then you need him, but if I put myself in that class, and all the times that they want to like go save the day or go help someone who gets captured, stuff like that, it's always Tenya being like, "We cannot, we must not." And I'm like, "No, you guys are trained to be heroes. Just do it. Like, also give me action to watch." But Tenya's always that kid that's like, "We should not," and it's as a result of what happens out of this 3-episode set. His entire reasoning for it. So like, I get why. But at the same time, it's that class rep attitude that I really like him, but he won't be in my top for that.
I think there's a lot of stuff behind it though, because he's really understanding the hero world, and especially after this arc where he's realizing he might have overstepped.
Oh, totally.
Now we'll never do it again. He
Right.
knows there's a rule. I'm going to stay on this side of it, and we're going to continue on from that point.
But I think he's going too far over that line. Yes, that's it. And so, like, I think over the course of the series, he'll grow to become more rounded of a character. I'm excited for that. All right, so let's roll in to the final episode 30, where we see Crazy Stain again.
Mm-hmm. From the battle, the battle was already pretty ramped up. I think this is a recap, or did he even redo Ida's stuff? This is just when Ida got I was like, at this point, and then it just kind of recaps up to this point where Todoroki's like, you need to stand up if you're going to do this.
Perfect name, too.
Yeah.
You don't need any more than that. It's like, it's been building up, and we're at the climax. That's it.
Yeah. I'm hoping we have this next part is not... Does it go back to Endeavor? No. We're going to talk about... I think this is in Ida's mind, too. Again, going back through his idea of who his brother is and what kind of hero he is, and talking to Midoriya, and they know who he is and how he's super popular and super nice and super heroic, and kind of going through all that motion. He's trying to figure out in his brain why Stain would not find that heroic. I think that's really the kicker for this whole entire part.
Yeah.
And they did a really good job with his facial expressions for this.
It's that sketchy line work that really shows the emotion in the art that we're looking at. And it's one of the things that I really love about reading the manga is the fact that you get a lot of Horikoshi's like line work does set a lot of the tone for a lot of the scenes. So it's always very interesting to see how Studio Bones is going to play that out in the episode. And I love that they pay homage to the line work that Horikoshi does for these scenes in their own cell animation. And it really kind of comes through a lot, I feel, with something like this. Because, again, it could be most of this show is very clean lines, very clean. But we're seeing a lot more line work on his face.
Especially, I like how he's like laying, like the way that he's laying down is like the most awful position to be. You're just down and out.
Yep, not cool at all.
And this line, he's like, I couldn't see anything except myself. It's just like him in full, like, what am I gonna do now? And he's like talking to him. He's like, "You're the best ever." And he's like, "What are you doing? Are you a robot?" And he asks him a simple question. He's just like, "Why did you want to be a hero? What made you really want to do it?" And he explains it. He's like, those people that like give lost children and they bring them to the lost children counter. He's like, those are people I really respect and really like and do all this stuff. And Ida's response is like, "Why wouldn't you just be the clerk at the lost children counter then?" It's like.
And it's exactly right when you said like he's a really cool little kid. I'm like, he's not cool. He says stuff like this.
He's very, and then when they say that he's very literal, so
yeah.
it's just like, So, and it's funny that his brother's so casual, laid back, obviously very cool guy, and he's just like, "You're smarter and more athletic than me, but you're like robotic. So, but you're gonna be a cool hero."
They reminded me so much of the brothers from Big Hero 6.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, in that movie, the kid is kind of like more of a cooler kid, but it's like still it's that brother respect, admiration thing that you kind of get to see between them.
Yeah. And it's like it's like a moment that he's just helping him clean up one day, and it's just like a random conversation that Ida remembers forever.
Yep. So we flash back to the alleyway where it looks like Stain is about to chop Todoroki's whole left side off. He just started using his fire, and he's going to lose that whole arm.
This line, when he tells him that you're too focused on your quirk, you're being careless. I went back to Bakugo and Todoroki's fight, and Bakugo calls Todoroki on the same thing. I think I remember this where he was just like, big flashy quirks, you're not really paying attention too much to what's going on. And I like that Stain called it out as well.
Yep.
And because they're going on about how the tenacity of Stain, and he just keeps going, and there's a lot of similarities to him in the way Bakugo moves and kind of does his own thing too. Definitely. I liked the way that they kind of kept repeating that as some things that Shoto need to work on that more than one person is going to see.
You would think, I feel like during this battle, you see Shoto using his left side and using his right side, but he's not combining them together, which is what I feel like is what he needs to like learn out of this, because the steam pressure of combining those two would force Stain away, kind of create a, to use video game parlance, an area of effect move around him pretty much. It would kind of like do like a good expansion pretty much to push everything out. And I think that that's what he needs to start working on that. And I think he got too lost in I'm now using my fire. Let's keep using fire. I still have ice. Let's use that. Because we saw him use them both in the battle against Midoriya, and what happened there, the entire freaking arena almost exploded. Yeah. But this terrified me when they cut, because we get this scene, I want to say like 2 or 3 times, because they keep cutting to this right before we go back to Tenya's like flashbacks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it really looks like some terrible stuff's about to happen to Shoto. But then some really awesome stuff happens instead.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
This reminds me of, do they yell? I don't remember what it is. Oh, they yell Kakarot a lot in Dragon Ball, don't they? This is what.
Well, not they. There's only one character that yells Kakarot.
Yeah, but it made me laugh because they seem to be yelling like they yell Todoroki quite a bit, like most of the time, and I was like, oh gosh. Oh, this was super cool, where they like glowed and like came out of nowhere. They went through this like phase of everything happening, and so then you have the engine slowly power on, and then you have some really awesome action sequences.
I think his eye too. There's like an awesome trail that goes up when he because he's looking down, and I think he looks up, and it like leaves that like light trail that goes up to his eye, and it catches up in there, and it's such a cool moment when that happens.
And just like. Because it's like within like a second all this is occurring because he's that quick. Just crazy.
Well,
I tried to catch this.
You didn't just try. You nailed it because that's perfect. Like, I love one of my favorite things when you look at animation is that how you get from point A to point B. Like how they draw that in between to make it seem like you get the motion. Mm-hmm. And there's a term for this, and I was actually just watching some behind the scenes stuff of a different animation yesterday. It's like an elastic kind of look to things. Like this leg, it kind of breaks. No leg moves like that, right? But to really kind of sell the speed and the force of which he's shoving that leg through his sword, they kind of push it further than it could physically ever be. And it looks so cool. I love it.
I think the next one is when he like gets out of this motion. Oh, that's it right there. Like just brings his leg down.
Yep. He kind of like catches like midair. He floats there for like a half second.
But he breaks the sword, which is
Oh yeah, he does. Breaks it right in half. I love that. It's so good. This would be a clip I would want to show.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't. I love that Shoto says this because he's like, that quirk is as great as I thought. Still, giving up the business.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't. The quirk is just part of it because Stain's like crazy. Yeah.
It's very true. Yeah, the quirk might not be all it's cracked up to be, but the person wielding it has extensively trained beyond that.
Yeah. It's kind of like Aizawa again with all the fighting and everything going on. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is when Stain's like, I can see you're trying. This is great, but really you can't change who you are inside. Which I think is a lie. But that's okay. We'll just go. He's a villain.
I will say I do agree with him because he says it does not change so easily.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that for Tenya, it didn't change easily.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just him recounting everything and thinking back on it in a different light. And maybe he still wants vengeance, but he's now seeing the other side of it as well. And he's like, no, my friends are being hurt. That's the more important thing. I got to focus on that. Still want the vengeance, but got to take him on. And I feel like this is the beginning of the journey of him changing, because it's not a flip switch or anything like that. And I think Stain is correct, but I do think that if Stain kills him here, he's depriving what could be another great hero of what Stain wants to create.
Yeah. But he's not willing to see past this point. He's like made his judgment on the fly almost, and which is not a bad thing to do either.
Yep. Nothing more needs to be said. I say we just leave that at that and keep going.
Yeah.
Show this deadpan like eye when he's.
Yeah, he's just like no. Oh, and then they start trying to find a strategy because they need to beat him. So now they have all three of them. And they're going to try to figure something out.
And Tenya's used his Recipro Burst to cut the sword in half, so he doesn't have any more of that.
Yeah, but now he's kind of out of action a little bit, I think, right at this point.
His engines are stalled, is what he says.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he thinks he broke the radiator. Yeah.
But I still don't know how these work. A radiator in his gear or in his actual leg?
I think in the gear. I think when he's wearing his gear, because so in the tournament he's not wearing his boots, right?
Yeah.
So when he's wearing his boots, I think he could do the Recipro Burst and he won't stall. That's what those are on the side for, is to kind of keep it cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when in that kick, because he kicked the sword in half, it broke the radiator pretty much. So he needs something to cool off his engine so it could unstall.
Which, to his jest on what's going on, is like his idea in his head of how to do that at this point in time, in this moment, was so smart.
Yep.
And then I think he asks Todoroki if you can regulate temperature, and Todoroki thinks that he means like hot. He's like, no, I don't know how to use my left yet. And he's like, no, I need you to freeze my legs. And Todoroki's like, I don't know. And then he starts like collecting knives in himself, trying to convince Todoroki to help him, basically, during this.
Oh, he's not collecting knives. He's saving his friend. But yeah. No, I just like collecting the knives in my arm.
Yeah, well, this is what I felt like. I was like, every 5 minutes he's jumping in front of him.
Yeah. It's great. I love that scene because he's trying to I love that they didn't give them this moment to talk without this happening, because they're like, Stain would not allow that to happen. He should be jumping in, should be throwing knives, should be stabbing, stabby. Yeah, it's great.
This look was great. Just all of a sudden he's like, okay, he can move again. He's ready to rock.
And this is after the second time Midoriya has been stopped because of the Stain's blood curdle.
Such a weird word. This part was very cool, but gross. I could not believe it. And he's like, I think the arm was pinned down into the dirt with it, right? Wasn't the knife so far in there because he couldn't move? I couldn't remember why he had to
I forget this one. I know he's pulling it out of his arm. But.
Yeah. Yeah, he went up there to use his mouth, and this is not an Ida thing to do. In my mind, this is not like something that I would ever see somebody who's very rule
Together.
abiding and like together, and he's just like completely savage right now. It's great. So,
Yeah. Oh, totally.
and then his foot's broken, I think, at this point in time too.
Yes, but it's not from his power. It is from like he got hit or something like that, or he landed. And as he's running, he even scrapes it against something, which is like it just adds insult to the injury already. It's like it hurts.
Yeah, and
But,
so they both jump up at the same time, and like this part, like it gives you goosebumps. It's like crazy action, cool. You got Ida with frozen calves. You got Broken Foot Deku who's just gonna go for it, and then like Shoto is stoked. It's like, like I think I got this next still on the Shoto's face. So, like when he's like so excited, this lasted like half a second. It took me four
yep.
tries to get it. Like he was so good.
I will say the one thing, if I could chastise them one time during this battle, is the fact that Shoto never once remarks about how differently Midoriya is moving.
Mm-hmm.
Because Midoriya is completely, I mean, like night and freaking day different. Yeah. And Tenya acknowledges it. He says he's moving like Bakugo. He's like, what's with that crazy speed and motion? I think he even says, like, what's with that movement? Because he's able to, like, move crazy fast. He's actually able to use his power for speed. And Shoto doesn't say a thing.
I almost think that Shoto thinks there's a lot of secrets that Midoriya hides, and he's just like not really surprised that Midoriya is good at something else. Like it's like slowly like his thing now. So
Shoto also has a very interesting personality. He says really weird stuff, like the Hand Destroyer bit that we'll get to. Yeah, it's really funny. So yeah, I can see him just not acknowledging it because of exactly that. It's like, all right, you keep your secrets. Is that like perfect gift from Lord of the Rings? Oh, this is so awesome.
Yeah, it's like I had to get stills from all of this. There's really nothing to talk about. He just got his ass kicked basically during this fight. This part was amazing.
Yeah, he's punched while also being kicked. Like I think because of the force of the punch usually isn't enough because I think you can kind of recoil back with it from the 5%, or at least Stain. But he's also getting destroyed in the direction that the punch would be happening. So it's like you're getting broken in half almost.
Yeah, that's a lot of power. Just like, and then Stain doesn't have like healing powers or anything. We're gonna assume that he's just like.
Oh no, Stain gets wrecked to a point beyond belief in this fight. Oh. I love it.
Need that as a background. Oh, then we get the cool. Yes.
Yep.
This is like this whole sequence of him fighting the Nomus was like I'm gonna call it right now. This is like my favorite thing because I really, even against all the other fighting and craziness and awesome, this was surprising to me and very cool.
Yep.
Like he looks cool, and then I hate him, but then this whole part, he was just the way he talks, like the absorption and release. It seems like the damage, like he understands how the fire is reacting to the other guy's body and what's happening and like how it's going on, and just the science and analysis in his mind is very, very cool.
Yep. And also during this, Gran Torino's like dashing all over the place. It's awesome. But
yeah, I like how he's already like incinerating because he gave him like a little test burn, is what he basically was like saying. He's like, I thought you would be passed out by now. I guess I'll try harder. And then Gran Torino takes him out.
He almost, the Nomu has, at this point, I love that also Gran Torino calls him Todoroki because he's Todoroki Sr. So Todoroki is about to like get got almost by this Nomu because he does not know that the Nomus have multiple quirks. So Gran Torino actually saves the day here for him. But Endeavor doesn't quite acknowledge it as much as you would think, but he does a little bit, in a very small way. But it's cool that Gran Torino saves him.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to Shoto gets this phone text message. And he's like, I gotta go, and Endeavor's all excited to show off in front of Shoto, and he's like, what do you mean you gotta go? And then he tells him an address, and it's like, meet me here whenever you're done with what you gotta do. I have something I have to do. And that's the only exchange that both of them needed to trust that both of them understood what was happening and that was going to happen.
And yeah, so you get Endeavor trusting that this address, there's something important because we'll see him tell that address to, I don't know, like, well, he really only tells it to Gran Torino, but he tells it to Gran Torino to tell other heroes to go there too. But he trusts his son enough to do that. But his son also trusts his dad enough to be like, Pro Heroes will be here soon because I told my dad the address.
So I actually thought this part was, I don't think it's from his quirk. I really just think that he's hurting himself from actual fighting, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think, although he's not used to.
Yeah. So I was like, oh. I can't even look at this one like the right way. This is crazy. Some great movement.
Yep. I love that Shoto catches him with an ice slide, too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but first he roasts
his face.
Stain just gets roasted.
Yeah.
That fire burns. Like, he's not impervious.
And then you had like these awesome stills that were like, it's them finishing up him upside down, and then
I love it. These are all great screenshots.
And it's just
they actually think at that point that Stain is still alive, and I think Shoto even says, "All right, get up. We got to keep going." He's still going.
I like how they slide down the ice slide and just like bonk their heads like children. Just like it reminds me of just like.
But I think we do get like a little cut too when they realize they think Stain is still going, but then they look up and he's just like he's hanging over dead. It looks like on one of these ice pillars. So we cut back to the Pro Heroes,
where they're not winning like 1-on-1, so they've decided that they're all gonna like bombard them at once and see how that goes.
Yep. And this poor girl's about to get got.
Yeah. I got it like perfect.
I love how gigantic Endeavor is. And also, like, you got to understand, dude does not have super strength, but he is the size where those fists are going to hurt a tremendous amount, and he can stand up to, like, super strength guys. I mean, he does put, like, the flames are pushing his fist forward, so he is punching with almost super strength because it's like rocket fists in a way. But he's just gigantic. He's a tank.
And I think he like scoops her up too and puts her off to the side. Like he like saves, like it's effortless almost at this time. And then at this point, I think the Nomu gets back up and he like regenerates his arm, and he's like, "Oh, okay, let's see how you do with this." And he just takes the head and just like incinerates it.
I love it too because it's like it starts off with normal flame, then it slowly turns blue, and then it becomes like a jet engine, and it's like frying this head. And then he like lets go, and he delivers this line as he's doing it, and it's like, dude, you're awesome. I mean,
it's like it's so smart, but it's gross at the same time. Like, okay, but he like even like half a second, he's like, oh, okay, we're gonna do this now.
And then this, because he sees the flying Nomu, and he's like, okay, well, gotta do this then. And without even thinking about it, he runs up a wall because he's melting his boots into the wall, so he's needing footholds to catch up after a flyer. Never mind. It happens in season 4, so we can't talk about that. Never mind. Oh, you were gonna say something.
No, this is just like the coolest thing because you like watch him like slide across like the rooftops, and he like sets like the lava slides basically. It's just really cool.
Does he also create the fire javelin in this scene, or
yes, he throws him into his eyeball and then it goes down. Yeah.
And when he throws the javelin into the Nomu's eye, he lets go of the girl that he's carrying, and again effortlessly Endeavor just scoops her out of the air and lands, puts her off to the side, and then I think he says to the heroes, I think he actually does tell this group of heroes that address. He's like, head here. I don't know what's there, but it's important because my son told me.
That's all he's ever wanted, is that kid will be there by his side, wanting to be this awesome hero, and so now he's just so excited.
I know.
Cannot be happier right now. I like how Native now he's like carrying him. He's like, and Midoriya's like, I'm really sorry. He's like, no, I should be sorry right now. I was like, I'm supposed to be the adult right at this point. They do like go. Oh yeah, they do like go when they're like, oh, we have to wrap him up, basically tie up the bad guy, tie up Stain. Like we should probably take all his swords off too, and they like lined him up all nice and neat. On the
I know they do that, but then also they do like, I don't know. It's almost like a perfect like explanation. Like they needed a
rope.
something, yeah, the rope, and it's just like, yo, you can find anything in the trash cans near a construction site. Like, okay, guys, sure. You could have just had like Native had a rope on him or something.
Yeah.
But instead, they're like, no, we found it in a trash can because we're near a construction site, and you can find anything you need around here.
They just needed Sero. He would have been there. He could tied up everybody.
Yep.
Fine.
Sure.
This made me laugh though because he's super hurt and like he's pissed. He's like, "What are you doing here? I'm going to this random address that Endeavor gave me, and you're here." Like,
yeah.
completely...
And I love the kick too because it's like he doesn't kick in, like he's not. It's not a forceful kick, but it is a like boot to the face, and he stops like right as he hits him.
Yeah.
So.
And I like that Midoriya's like super like sorry about it, and then the Gran Torino calms down because he realizes like, oh, there's more of you. You guys were actually doing something.
Yep. And then Tenya explains it.
Yeah. And he's all super worried about them being. I think Shoto has some scrapes or what they call it, and then like Midoriya is obviously super injured, but Tenya's like the most injured, and he's still sorry about it.
He was stabbed, what, 4 times?
Yeah, in various parts of his poor arms. This part made me cry. I was like, poor little guy.
Well, he's recognizing what he did.
I know. And then Shoto, he's like, okay, you need to pull yourself together. You're the class rep, right? Like, act like yourself.
And then the rest of the heroes show up.
Yeah, and they happen to all notice that the Stain's there, and they're like, oh, this is a big deal.
Yep. It's funny that Gran Torino didn't know about Stain.
It probably wasn't on during the soap opera that he was watching that day for the news.
All right, so here, hair in my mouth. Here's where I told you I take umbrage with Stain's power, and then the fact that the battle took 10 minutes. Battle took 10 minutes, but during President Mike's explanation of the blood curdle, we learned that type A blood is the one that he can stop the longest. The longest being 8 minutes. So the battle had to be under 8 minutes because Native was out until the end.
Mm-hmm.
Or the battle was 10 minutes and President Mike's explanation of blood curdle was wrong. I don't know. The time isn't right. This also could just be Deku estimating. It was like, well, he does say about 10 minutes, but what we know of Deku is he's very much like,
precise.
Yeah, precise with his numbers. But that was my one little small thing that I was like, I don't know. 8 minutes, 10 minutes, there's a 2-minute difference there.
Maybe Native just didn't move. He's like, I'm going to stay here.
Like, these kids got it.
Yeah, I'm not going to do this right now. I think this is when I missed Ida's face in this, but Midoriya gets lifted off, basically Jurassic Park style during this point.
Yes, he does. Very much Jurassic Park style.
Yeah.
I love this.
Because the blood is flying off the guy as he's flying, hits her in the face, and like not even seconds later, Stain realizes where it's from, licks her face, and then takes down this Nomu because he's realizing in his head, oh, I forgot about these damn things, and it's going to take my prey.
Yep.
And he's just like, no.
But it's not even that he's going to take his prey, because he purposely saves Midoriya.
Yeah.
Like, he's not trying to kill Midoriya. He's trying to save Midoriya in this instance. I feel like at this point, this is like Stain acknowledging, I've been caught by these kids. They are the heroes that I said that I would let All Might bring me in, pretty much. Mm-hmm. But these kids have that kind of resolve to them, and they could become or at least Midoriya can become the hero that All Might is. So when the Nomu, who he knows is the creature of Tamora, scoops up Midoriya, who he also knows Tamora has it out for because Tamora showed Midoriya's photo from the freaking sports festival to Stain. I think he even acknowledged when Midoriya shows up, he's like, he's that kid. So when this happens, it's like I'm going to kill this thing and save this kid.
Mm-hmm. I got this one. Just like instant falls to the ground.
Yeah, because he's even delivering that our society's overgrown with fake heroes, which I believe is him saying that being like, but this kid is not one of the fake ones.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and Tamuro's pissed about it. He's like, what are you doing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Derpy, they both look up there right now.
Mm-hmm. And these four, like, what's going on? What is he? Like, is he saving the kid? No, he must be taking a hostage. Like their conversation, like, gets muddled and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think from their perspective, I totally get it. I would not expect the hero killer, someone who's known to be killing heroes, is trying to save a kid because they don't understand what had just happened. They also don't know that the kids are the ones that saved the day. They probably assume Native did.
Yeah.
And then it shows up.
The way he says Endeavor too, like, is it's resentment galore. Like he must be like, this is the one guy. Like, hell, this is my day. If I was in prime condition, this would be perfect.
Yep. Endeavor is clearly the one that he was thinking of when he came up with like his whole heroes should not be like this kind of deal.
Just the way he talks. And just as excited as he was when Shoto used his left, he was just as excited almost for seeing Stain. Like, he was like, oh my god, this is what I was looking for in the first place.
This is exactly why we came out here.
Yeah. This part confuses me because, like, he was like super, like, there's like a lot of intensity going on, and I wasn't sure if it was part of his quirk or what was going on for this part.
They explained that it wasn't his quirk, but it might be some kind of residual of it. I think in a way, I'm not sure because like they do get like everyone gets frozen, even Endeavor, even Gran Torino, all the heroes, all the kids, because Stain's mask falls off, and they all get frozen in fright of his conviction of what he's basically saying under this blood red moon that's only red for this like brief second. And they don't really explain it other than like his conviction made him stop, pretty much all dead in their tracks. Like we were all terrified of Stain within that second.
Yeah.
But I feel like it must have something to do with his quirk too, because like I don't know, I don't see Endeavor really falling for the whole being scared thing.
No, I don't think the guy has that many feelings except for super proud or super angry. So it's like.
Yeah. Did you get a screenshot of everybody basically frozen?
No, I took it. That was way too many of them. So it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and I was like, "Holy mackerel!"
Yeah.
But this face, yeah.
So that is the oh shit, I'm out now face.
Yeah.
So everything returns to normal. The lighting returns to normal. His pupils are gone. Drooling because a broken rib cage pierced his lung within that split second, which is, oh man, talk about like fortuitous for pretty much everybody involved.
Yeah.
Because Endeavor was looking like he was going to fry Midoriya, who was back there behind him. He did not see that he had a hostage until Gran Torino told him that he had a hostage.
Oh yeah.
I think this is it for the screen.
I think we're done after this one, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, so we end it with basically the hero killer. He's done. He's out. So that actually does, it's the climax. It is the end of the episode. We do see the end. We'll have the aftermath next week. But oh boy, do you have a favorite on this one? Favorite moment?
This is only my favorite. It's not the coolest moment by any means. There's a lot of cool fight sequences, but Endeavor actually watching him in action is my favorite.
Yeah.
Like actually rewatching it in this now for the third time, like actually enjoying that part, it was great.
It's so tough to pick a favorite moment from this one because like Tenya kicking the blade, the whole slow motion, everything build up to that. Him and Deku hitting Stain at the same time while Shoto like looks on. All of the kids battling. My cat is in my closet right now. All right, he's getting out. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff that happens. Endeavor being awesome. I honestly, I have to say this whole episode is altogether is my favorite, and it's impossible to pick a moment because even like Stain saving Midoriya is one of my favorite things. Like the fact that he saves him, only to then find out that Endeavor's there and turn around and be like, "All right, round 2, let's do this," because he totally would have. He got his ass handed to him, but he would have just kept going.
Yeah.
But Christian, thank you. Christian says, "Thank you for doing what you're doing. He appreciates it. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you guys for tuning in."
Yeah.
Stain pretty much slipped on a banana peel, farted really loudly, and died. That's pretty much what happened, except for a bunch of teens punched him in the ribs a bunch.
Broke his rib cage.
Yeah, broke his rib cage. That punctured his lungs.
Oh, that was like his dream fight too. He's like, "Oh, this is perfect."
Yep.
Nope.
Instead, he wound up with the curse these crazy kids.
Yeah.
More for them and their stupid quirks too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was good. I saw some stuff going on in the chat about the McFarlane Stain figure. I will say I had always planned on getting it. I was going to wait until it was out though to get it. But after watching this set of 3 episodes, which I was going to watch an episode Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Friday night, started on Wednesday night. An hour and 20 minutes later, I'm like, well, I watched all 3 of them because I couldn't stop. And then after that, I'm like, well, I might as well pre-order Stain, the figure now. Just make sure it's locked in and ready to go. So I have that coming too. Let's talk about toys for a second because I saw a bunch of chat with toys. We're all toy collectors. We're all toy photographers, and that's what this, that's what brought us all together. There's some chats also happening about the McFarlane figures, and I agree. They all kind of do look like knockoffs. I do get a couple of them, though, just because they are good stand-ins until other ones come out. Like All Might, if you swap the head to a Banpresto head, it's actually a great All Might figure. So I do like my McFarlane All Might custom. The Deku I kind of broke apart and made into a different Deku, but I don't need it anymore because I now have the Revoltech one. All the Nendos are great. I want to Stain Nendo so bad. He would be so good.
He would be amazing.
Oh man, the faces too, and you give him that blank face would be perfect. I'd love it.
Yeah. The only thing is that I would want like an actual fabric for the mask.
Oh yeah. It wouldn't be. It would be that plastic that they love. That would be cool. Yeah. But I will say that Tenya in his suit, though, looks a little messy, like McFarlane messy. I feel like all of his toys look a little messy. Will suffice until, because there's no other Tenya announced, Like we do have pretty soon, actually. Well, it was due out in October. I don't think they're going to hit that date. But the Figma for Ochako, Kirishima, and Shoto are all due out in the next 2-3 months. I think they're all going to be delayed, but so at least we have good versions of those coming. But oh yeah, Christian says he ordered the All Might from Revoltech. Me too, man. I'm telling you, Revoltech, if they do any of these figures, I am in because that Deku is the best. One of my favorite figures of all time. I love that. Yeah, that's right. I said it.
We'll see.
Dream figures, Steph?
I have too many already coming in, so I have to think about it for a little bit. But I want some more of the girls. Like Momo would be sweet. Like I really I don't know if they made a Froppy Figma yet, but I really would like.
Figma, no. I feel like she'd be a perfect Figma.
Mm-hmm.
However, they have to give her good articulation, and that's where I think they're going to fail with her because she needs to be able to pose down like a frog, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think a Mineta and an android would be adorable. I really
Too
would like
big.
the whole class.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like I do feel like of all of the toy lines, the one that we will get all of 1A from, it is an Androids.
yeah, they're
I
already.
do need them to start breaking out from just 1A though,
Mhm.
because I do want I want Shinso. I want season 5 Shinso though, so I want them to hold off a little bit.
Mhm.
I do want Shinso. I definitely want Aizawa. There's so many good Nendos outside of even 1A. But you're right. We do need more of the girls from that too.
I think we're gonna get. I'm just gonna say the big 3 before we get any other classes. But if we get droids of them, so that's my take on how they're going and flowing with everything. But I'm hoping they at least get Amina would be my preference in android form too. She's amazing. So
Yeah, I need a Jiro.
you need a Jiro, yes.
I was thinking about Mirio as well today. Definitely those big 3 would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Christian,
Imagine the guy's little lobster hands on the Nendroids too.
he would have. Oh my god, the Sun Eater would have such great swappable parts.
Yeah.
Because I want not even lobster hands. I want the tentacle arms, clam hands. Clam hands would be great. Chicken legs. There's so many great things that you could do with him. He'd be a fun one to do, and then release a second accessory pack of just here's more food he ate.
Yeah. Well, then you'd have Kirishima and him, and then you could have. We have to have Fat Gum. So.
Yeah, Fat Gum would be an incredible Nendo. He wouldn't move at all, but you always need Fat Gum to move. Yeah, unless they did buff Fat Gum.
They could just have it in one of those clear cells behind him.
Yeah, that's true. I do want Endeavor and Hawks as well. I think they would make great ones.
Oh, Dances Oyama would be a very cute Nendo too.
He would be a great one. Those just popped up for me. Oyama would be great. He would have some cool effects, I think.
It would be cool. The laser would be sweet.
Yeah, they would do a good job with that.
Yeah.
I think he would be a really good Figma too. I do want Revoltech to do all of the kit. I want Figma. I'm actually really glad we're going to have 5 Figma My Hero stuff by whenever those 3 characters get released. But I really do hope that what we see more from is Revoltech, because they do have the posing that those characters need.
Yeah. And I could always use another Bakugo, so I'm assuming that's next.
Yeah. Toga as a Nendo is already happening, James. She'll be out soon, actually, I think.
They have a Belfiend for her too. It's sweet.
Yep. Yeah, she looks good. All those Belfiends are really good.
Yeah. I just realized I got this Deku from Good Smile a while ago, and he's a Belfiend too. I didn't know what brand.
Oh.
Yeah, just a random one that I got. So.
Yep. Christian, I agree with that. I do think that if because he says Revoltech is greater than SH Figure Arts, which is greater than Figma, I definitely agree with that. I would think though that if SH Figure Arts did pick up My Hero, we would have all of everybody.
Yeah.
Based on how they handle Dragon Ball, I think My Hero has the same fan base in toy form right now. I feel like SH Figure Arts would have been the company to take it and run. I am worried Revoltech kind of cherry picks. They do what Figma does, where they're like, here's your 5 characters you're going to get. Be happy you got those 5. But I need everybody.
Yeah, doesn't Naruto have SH Figure Arts too? Aren't they have a bunch of them?
There's a bunch of them, but first off, I will say those came out before before SH Figure Arts kind of changed their production a little bit, so they weren't done as well. And I don't think the Naruto fan base liked them as much, so they didn't buy them, and then they canceled that line. However, knowing from talking with Richie, who talks with those people, they just put out an Essentials Naruto figure, which is a re-release basically of one of their original Naruto figures. And I think that if the sales for that do well, they'll think about repumping those out. So they kind of do a test-based scenario. They'll be like, okay, hey, we've canceled this line, but here's another figure. If enough people buy it, granted, it's a figure that everybody kind of already has.
Yeah.
But it is a figure that that character is known for creating multiple clones of himself. So it kind of plays off, troop building.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan says SH Figure is cherry picked with Naruto. Again, I think the Naruto fan base isn't as big of a toy fan like collecting. I think they would be now. I think Boruto kind of helped resurrect Naruto a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, I think toys now are slightly better because that was a couple of years back when those Naruto figures came out. Because I have Rock Lee, I have Jiraiya, and I actually just bought Naruto off a toy collector on Instagram. So I have those three, and they're good, but their articulation isn't the best. So I do think SH Figures would kill My Hero though, but I'd rather have Revoltech.
There you go. Yeah, I think Figma will probably stop after a few of them. We might get a Froppy and we might get an All Might, but I'm not sure after that. Actually, I don't even think about All Might because it'd be too clunky almost.
I think Figma, at least that I've seen, their big guys tend to be too small.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think if they did an All Might, he would be all that great. Also, I think that the Revoltech All Might looks like it's going to be one of the best figures ever made.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to call it now.
You're like, I'm just going to say it.
Not biased whatsoever.
Uh-huh.
I'm totally biased. Yeah. So, I mean, I think Figma would kill it with, again, Aoyama. They would make an amazing Aoyama.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're just classic looking figures. I think that if they did a Sugar Man, he would look great. I think if they did Dark Shadow, he would look amazing too.
I think actually your Revoltech Dark Shadow would be better.
Revoltech would do better all of them.
No, I just think they would be more interesting because of the hard lines and the weird way that he moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to see how, based on the amount of accessories the Revoltech Deku came with, that box was like this big. He came with a one-for-all piece, full cowling effect that you could snap in like anywhere on his body, both in pink and in green. He came with a couple smash effects. He came with multiple hands. He came with a notebook, a pen, so movable eyes, so many faceplates. I need to see what their take on Dark Shadow would be, because I need to see what would that box include. Seeing what we got with Deku, oh my god, I'm like frothing at the mouth thinking about it. What opening that box, what I would be seeing.
It'd be nice to get a figure of him at all because we don't have anything.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, there's not even is there a band presto of him?
No.
Yeah, there's nothing.
And he's one of the coolest, so it's just like, what?
Yep. Christian said Figma is likeness over posability. However, I think that their likeness isn't even as good as Revoltech. So, Revoltech Mirio would be awesome seeing that. Though they do horrible capes. Let's be honest, their capes are the worst. Revoltech Razorhead. Oh, you're speaking my language.
Yeah, that one you have to get you'd have to get a custom of the bandages, the things.
Yeah, his coils. I know how they would do it too because I've seen enough of their here's long fabric and it's all here's little chunks of plastic with little ball joints on it, so it would look sharp and it wouldn't look right. Yeah,
piece of material that you could have.
It needs to be cloth. I agree. Mm-hmm. More companies need to start including cloth capes or cloth parts because Mirio with a cloth cape would be amazing.
I think there's a Figma coming out with cloth, and I can't remember what it was, but I saw it and was actually had to stop and
Oh yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, I wonder who it is too. Because if Figma started doing cloth goods on some of their stuff, that would change a lot. I will give them credit. They like to use a really soft rubber that actually does bend really well. I have a Link figure that has a tunic that goes down really far, and I'm like, oh man, this is going to kill articulation of the leg, but it bends with it. It's fine, Yeah. The magic of soft goods. Darn straight. Yeah, Dan said the Black Batman Revoltech. Yeah, I did see a really cool picture of that on Batman Day that someone did something cool with the cape, though it ended up kind of looking like a vehicle, also because it's plastic, but it looked cool.
You made it work.
Yeah.
See, you haven't gotten your Mythic Legions yet, Dan. Like the soft goods, like make everything. Like I can't explain the difference of being able to take those capes and put them on other things. Like perfect.
I will say I was right there with you, Dan, until I started buying Hot Toys. Actually, I used to be like, soft goods, none of that. And then my friend got me my very first Hot Toy ones, and I was like, this has like a cloth cape. This has like a suit that I can move and all this other stuff. And then I started getting more Hot Toys, and then I started getting more Mezco, and I'm like, soft goods, if it's done right, it has to be done right. Because, like, you can get a NECA soft good something, and it looks like they're wearing a shirt that you should fit 3 of your NECA figures in. And I'm like, what is this? Yeah. It's like someone put, I don't know, Newman's clothes from Seinfeld on, like, I don't know, Jerry Seinfeld. That's a weird reference. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. If done right, soft goods is amazing. And Steph, yeah, you kind of nailed it. Like the stuff on Mythic Legions, like they only use soft goods sparingly, but when they do, it's perfect. And that's also one of the things I really like about the Aniplex figures coming out for Demon Slayer. It's like we don't have them yet. They are plastic, except their coats are all soft. So you can pose them like waving in the wind and stuff like that. I'm like, thank you. This is what I wanted.
So speaking of Dream figures, I just thought of this off of my head because I was thinking about how they were going to do the clothes for it for Vinland Saga. If you're going to have like a Viking outfit, there better be like fur on it and like actual things going on to make it pose and be cool. That would be a sweet Mezco, actually. They're not going to do anime figures, but they would.
No, but I will tell you, I have not said this anywhere. I've been kind of saving it in case I get asked, because this is a common question in the toy community. What's your dream figure line? My dream figure line is Mezco doing Akira. But so I definitely want anime Mezco stuff.
That would be sweet.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
No, oh my God.
Kanada's coat and like whole jacket, and then you have Kay and Tetsuo. Oh my God. Oh. Anyway, man, Vinland Saga though. Vinland Saga is my anime of 2019, my favorite anime that came out that year. And they teased during that year that Figma was going to do a Thorfinn. And it's been a year, and we've gotten nothing. And this happened with Ochako as well, where they teased her, and it took 3 years, no, 2.5, close to 3, for them to be like, oh, hey, we're actually going to do that now. So I'm terrified it's going to be real long until we get Thorfinn.
Well, it's just like with Attack on Titan that they just got Irvin finally. They took until I'm not going to spoil it, but they took until the character needed a figure to actually make one out. So maybe
they have a good number of those figures though from Attack on Titan now, don't they?
Yes. So, and they're supposed to have a bunch more. They had them all like lined out, like Jean and Sasha and all them. But we got Levi in 2 versions, the main 3, and then Irvin. Okay.
I'm surprised they haven't done more. But then again, it's Figma, so you don't get everybody in Figma. That's one of my biggest complaints, I think, with Figma as a toy line is the fact that you kind of can only really pick anime that have like 2 or 3 standout characters. You can't do these amazing ensembles like My Hero, where at the end of each episode, you're like, well, now I need a figure of this character too. Well, now I need a figure of this character. Like, there's so many from later seasons I want, and stuff. It's like, but you're not going to get them in Figma. So that's why I was really glad to see other toy lines pick it up, and dismayed that in America, the company that picked it up is McFarlane. I really wish it was Hasbro, because I think that they would actually do it well. But I pre-ordered the Tanjiro Figma today because I know between now and July I'm going to watch that. Dan, yes. You're going to actually, yes. You know what? Yeah. You'll be happy with the Figma. I have the Figma and the Aniplex on pre-order because I'm a glutton for punishment.
It'll be worth it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I just need to know what that Aniplex figure is like first,
Mm-hmm.
because then I definitely want to get the Nezuko of that line, because again, her whole pink Camino. Camino? No, that's Kimono. Kamino is the place where people get cloned in Star Wars. Kimono is what you wear. Her kimono is all soft goods, and it looks like it poses really well. Oh yes, overhaul would be good. See. I only have 2 Figmas, but I really want them to do Avatar and Korra. I have the Korra Nendo. So
That's all good. Yeah.
that was my second Nendoroid I bought.
She's worth a pretty penny now too.
Is she?
Yeah.
I don't have the box, so is she worth it without the box?
Probably not.
Yeah. Actually, wait, that might be one of the boxes that like was. You know how I told you I cycle?
Yeah.
I think that's like one of the boxes I still have cycled.
Ooh.
Yes, Camino is where Jango and Obi-Wan fought. I know. That's where they clone all the clone troopers. Yeah. Yeah, Overhaul would be great. All of those villains would be amazing. While we're talking about the villains, like the whole League of Villains would be awesome. Like I need whoever does Twice, I need them to understand that it's a troop builder, so I can buy 3 or 4 of them without worrying, because I need multiple Twices. If I have to buy 4 Nendo Twices, I will.
Where did you come from? My cat came out of nowhere.
Oh, cats do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that yours or mine?
That's mine. You want to say hi? Come on.
Korra was the first Nendo I ever saw. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Now I want the SHF to do AMHA. Yeah, hey, no problem. I've been tuning. Dan, I mean, I don't know when you start following me, but let me tell you, I've been tuning that horn for years. So, I do think the Revoltech. I make sure anytime I talk about the Revoltech, I tag them, and I'm like, yeah, they should be doing all of my hero figures because I really need them to get in their head. I will buy all of them. If I need to buy one, tell me, I will. But I know Deku is impossible to find already, so it's like, we sold out.
No. All right.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, good little 30-minute toy talk on the end of this episode. It was just a lot of toy talking happening in the chat, and I saw it. I'm like, I want to get in on that chat.
Yeah. That's a good chat too.
So thank you guys again for tuning in. Episode 10, we have made it to double digits, and of course, episode 10 was like a great one.
Yeah.
Love the set. We have some good stuff coming up as we finalize in on the end of season 2.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. See you guys on Instagram. We'll see you guys next week. Until then, I'm going to get ready to hit that end broadcast. It always takes a second. That's why you get really awkward, like us waving. Good night, everybody.